A lot has transpired and important steps taken in the very near future, steps towards Spring Valley Lake Association purchasing the country club and golf course.
Well, Terry, I think there's a lot of misinformation within the association about what the board is doing and what the committees are doing and what other individuals are doing. So let me give you my perspective. And if this is redundant for some people, I'm sorry, but for others, you'll understand why I'm kind of involved in this. In late November of last year, Bill Scott and Brian Hurst, who are on the board, approached me and said, hey, we don't want a repeat of the CST fight that we were in, and would you support us? And I said, I would like to support you, but I'm not going to support you without a plan. So over the last couple months, I mean, the last probably 5.5 months, we've executed a non-disclosure agreement. We've had some private lunches with Alfred Logan and Brian Hurst and Brian Bickert and Bill Scott. And then recently, the board brought in a very highly respected business person, a person I call my friend, somebody that I think a lot of people call their friends. That's David Greiner. David owns Greiner Buick GMC. David is a very level-headed businessman. He's also an attorney. Many people don't know that he's an attorney. He doesn't have an attorney shingle out in front of GMC. So he's been involved, and we've had some meetings that have been very, very interesting. And I'll say this. So you have a couple of committees out there that are working very, very close with the board. But I think what happens is sometimes information is leaked from the committee level, and it just gets out within the 4,215 lots, okay? And then you hear all kinds of things. So for a period of time, as I heard things, I would email Brian Bickert, Brian Hurst, Bill Scott, and now even David Greiner to say, what is fact and fiction? So fact is this. They did a town hall on April 21st. I believe that was the day. And they had, I think, 60 people there. And the board did a reasonably good job. On a 1 to 10, I gave them a 7. Okay, I wrote them a memo and I said, I think this person did great. This person could have done better. At the end of the day, they were trying to explain to everybody where this deal was going to go and how the deal was going to work on out. The purchase and sale agreement, which I know has brought some real challenges to Club Corp. So this has been going back and forth with Club Corp and the attorney Stephen Tinley and his female associate for months. Is down to one little point. So last Friday, very smartly, the Spring Valley Lake board met in kind of what I call an emergency session, but it's called a regular board meeting. They put that and they posted, and they have voted to give Brian Bickert the ability to sign the final purchase and sale, subject to Tinley approving it and also the work that Brian Hurst is doing. And so I do believe that by, let's say, the 24th of this month, that the purchase and sale agreement will have been cut. I'll say this, that there have been many people who have had some input to it. I went line by line. I understand purchase and sale agreements real well, and there are some things I just said to the board. You can't do this. And I've got to say this with the help of David. So what's been nice, David and I bring a business acumen. Okay, Brian Bickert's got a very successful appraisal company. Brian Hurst is one of the top real estate agents on up here. Bill Scott is a former businessman that's owned quite a few companies. He's sold like 5 or 6 companies. So I think when you put everybody together and say, okay, what did this document have? Does it protect, most importantly, the residents of Spring Valley Lake? I can tell anybody looking at this video, this is a balanced agreement. It is a fair agreement. It's $2 million, so I'm not saying anything that Brian Bickert didn't say. It includes 977 acre-feet of adjudicated water. The club still has to buy makeup water every year because the ramp down through the adjudication, which took place 20 years ago through Judge Kaiser, only allows for 55% of the usage. Why is that? Because they're trying to keep the basin in balance, and we haven't had some real wet years. So they have to make up water. It looks like the club is going to need about $2.5 million to $3 million in some fixes. The committee for the board is studying very, very, very seriously a very serious opportunity where they can refinance the water debt that is due in 2 years. Actually, this came about from Robert Reed. Robert had said a couple months ago, why don't we take care of the park? Let's improve the community park. Let's get the skateboard. Let's refinance the water. We've got the country club purchase. We've got the modification. Do one check and one loan at an interest rate that's going to be very, very viable. It looks like at this point, the final strategy plan is not done. So I think where the problem, Terry, is this. The board on the 21st of April said they think that the end outcome is that everybody's dues will go up $20 a month. Okay, you still have to go buy a social membership, but you're going to be able to use the club and go eat in there. And if you're not a social member that will probably pay, let's say, $75 to $100 a month, or a golfer that could go up to $300 a month or whatever, they're currently finalizing out there. They're going to have a final plan. So for those that have said to me, Joe, you're buying off on this because you have 2 houses on the golf course, not buying off on anything. This is not about me or my houses. It's not about David and his house. It's not about Brian Hurst and his house. It's not about the board. Spring Valley Lake is 51 years old. Okay, it opened up in 1969. The club is a great golf course. It's a great golf course, but it needs some work. And after 50 years, you need to put some money back on it. So I think that's going to work. The most important thing of this whole aspect is that David and I and Brian Bickert and others have been working on a strategy that is a foolproof plan that they will be able to deliver to the residents to be able to vote on. It's going to talk about the structure of the country club, what it's going to cost. Are you going to be able to swim there for free? You know, how many times are you be able to play golf? You know, what hours is the club going to be open? There's been a lot of thought, and Terry, I'm going to tell you, there's been some pretty tough conversations on in there. Brian Hurst, who I have just a total amount of respect for, in our last meeting 2 weeks ago Friday, we started off and I said, so we were talking about political consultants, okay? And so they are interviewing political consultants that are going to be able to help us with the social message, be sure that we're in the mail, be sure that we do the town halls, be sure that somebody else is trying to explain the reality here. You know, you got to bring a company that really does understand the bigger picture of, 4,215 lots. We're 93.4% built out. We are 3,941 lots completed as of today. Okay. You've got a wide range of ages. You have homeowners that are 19 years old, and you have homeowners that are 90 years old. You have homeowners that will never use that golf course, but also understand what will happen in declining values. I will say this, with the help of David Greiner and with the help of Greg Kristovich, who did the original study that we've gone through page by page and word by word, I have read now enough articles that absolutely clearly state that if that golf course were to turn brown, okay, they just shut it down, or it gets in the wrong hands, we are looking at a 30 to 40% decrease in value within Spring Valley community. But what are we going to do? We're going to come together with a strategic plan that everybody can buy on off, and something that is a benefit not only to the residents today, but I think we have to look 25 years down the road. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I think that I don't think there's a date for the vote. We do have to get
2,807
votes affirmative. So it's going to take a lot of work, but I think that if you have a strategic plan and you have somebody like David, I mean, he's been working the business plan side and working with Alfred and everybody else. I think this is going to be a win-win for everybody. I think it's going to be a win for the board. It's going to be a win for the residents, and I'm glad to have just a little bit of input towards it. So.